Okay. What is going on, everybody? Welcome to week 8 of Francess and Friends. It's a sad week for me because, as I've mentioned these last 2 weeks, I'm a big Halloween guy. Huge Halloween guy, and this is the last week I kind of get to enjoy the horror movies and the fall vibes, because before you know it, you're going to be hearing that Mariah Carey Christmas song on the radio. So I'm enjoying and savoring every morsel of it the same way I was enjoying every single morsel of the plus 3,300 same game parlay that I cracked for everybody on the channel last night. It really makes me happy to be able to do that, because if there's one thing I know about an Odd Shopper audience, they can't help themselves. This is half pirate voice. From blasting a couple same game parlays. I always tell people, come on, be careful. Just because that should be the dessert part of the bet. That shouldn't be the meat and potatoes. They don't care. They're eating cake. They're eating that Reese's peanut butter cup for dessert. But I guess around Halloween time, it's absolutely fine. My first Halloween story. I got to get some of these Halloween stories. And the first one, when people, these are kind people out there. They're not home, so they leave something that says, please take one. And then they ask children to please take one. But what about people who are on the back half of those trick-or-treating years? Those teen trick-or-treaters. Guess who was one of those at one point? Me. I'm not going to say that I wasn't a teenage. I'm just a teenage dirtbag, baby. I certainly was. And me and my friend, we were at that age, my friend and I, where he was old enough to drive, but I was born way later in the year, so I couldn't drive. So he was driving around looking for the please take ones. And he pulls up to this house, and I've never kind of seen this before. They had all the candy laid out on like a pan that you'd bake with. So it wasn't in a bowl, it was on a pan. So he goes up there, grabs the pan, and you just hear some lady curse from inside the house. This lady came sprinting out. And if you remember Nintendo Entertainment System, which you can see over my left, your right, they came sprinting out like the lady in Paperboy with the knife. I'm talking, this lady came sprinting out. My buddy, this is like when we were in our athletic prime. You're playing high school sports. It's like your senior year. He goes flying down the block, but he doesn't drop the pan. He's going full sprinting with a pan with chocolates flying off one at a time. And I'm sitting there in the car, and I'm like, oh my God. So she's so pissed off. All I could think to do was I hopped over to the driver's seat, came out, and I just went, what the hell happened? And she was like, somebody came and he tried to take all the candy. He went to take the candy? What an asshole. I'm going to see if I can go find him. I didn't even drive at this point. I told her I didn't have my license, so I got in the car and just slowly, I'm going to go find him, pretending like I was going to peel away like Vin Diesel in Fast and the Furious, and I just kind of trickled to the end of the block until I could meet up with him. Now, I'm not saying that we should have done such a thing. We didn't even really eat a lot of candy at the point. At that point, you can drive wherever the hell you want, but you're just kind of looking for trouble. It's All Hallows Eve. It's a mischievous time of year, and that's what we did. We did that on Halloween, and I'm not trying to say that we're great people, but, I guess that's why I'm a fan, and I talk about all these Philly guys that we got here, from Aton to Dave and Mike, who produces this show. I'm a fan of the Dirtbags, and speaking of which, it was a tough week for the Dirtbags, being the people from Philadelphia, as they stated last week, as that Atlanta Braves called them, the mutants, because they had to endure the Phillies losing in the playoffs. I haven't watched baseball in 10 years, but Mike, I know you went to the game. Probably an unpleasant experience for you, right?
Yeah, I wish I was the one that haven't watched baseball in 10 years. It's been at least that since our World Series in 08. So we're at 15 years with some really good teams in between. So yeah, that was pretty miserable, but it wasn't as bad as the previous year when I attended a no-hitter in the World Series. That was a blast.
Thrilling, but how it's like one man's trash is another man's treasure and whatnot. Well, your agony, it Philadelphia agony springs the next generation of mutants. Like, Boston, they endured so much misery through the years that it just trickled down and trickled down. Now, all of a sudden, you're starting to see kind of these randomly content, happy people from the New England area. And I'm like, what the hell is this? When did this happen? Think about it. They broke the curse. They were title town. It alleviates there's a generation of Bostonians who know winning. Meanwhile, there were multiple who do nothing but losing. So if you want the misery to go on, you need to have a couple miserable moments. And we saw the birth of another mutant Philadelphia fan. One of the best videos that you'll ever see. There's a Miami Dolphins fan. They obviously played on Sunday night. And the Eagles are winning this game relatively comfortably. And a Dolphins fan sees a little kid, goes to give him a high five. I don't know how. I don't know. I'm not good. I don't work at a carnival. I'm not good at guessing ages. But this kid couldn't be much older than an infant. He literally gives the guy the fake high five and just holds the middle finger up right in his face. Right in his face. And I got to be honest, I love it. I think maybe you people misconstrue that, oh my God, Andy just rips on Philly fans. No, I find it fascinating because I always felt like the secondary New York market, the Islander fan, Jet fan, Met fan, they are Philly light. They are willing to be a little wild and say a couple tree things at the fans. So I always keep, one eye looking over at them. And you know why I love that? Because of the authenticity. Nowadays, you guys know this. It's probably why you watch this show. Authenticity from people is growing increasingly rare. You see these social media takes. You never get anything in these post-game interviews. Everyone's giving you chalky answers. And then there's just a lack of authenticity everywhere. You look up in that sky box at the Chiefs game, and you're seeing Taylor Swift doing pre-orchestrated handshakes like she's been following the Chiefs for years and a huge Chiefs fan. I already told you how, here's the Philly fan. There's the Philly fan who gave this guy, and that guy taking in good spirit. I would do the same thing. I'd be thrilled if I caught a middle finger from a child that young. And anyway, going back to the Taylor Swift handshake, it's as fraudulent as they come because she's not a huge fan. And it's one thing, you can support your significant other. If my girlfriend works for Bounty Paper Towels, I'm going to hope that the company's doing well. But you're not going to see me just cheering for Bounty Paper Towels. I already told you that unless you got a childhood tie to a team, a childhood allegiance, you can't be going crazy. And these handshakes that they're dishing out there, like Willie Mays Hayes at home plate or something like that, you'd assume that those are people with lifelong friendships. You got Jackson Mahomes coming in there. Things like that are why I love that Eagles kid. I mean, it kind of reminds me, I was going out with this girl from the University of Alabama, and if you go to the University of Alabama, you're a huge University of Alabama fan, and that makes total sense. Well, I grew up outside of New York City, went to college in Boston. College sports, it never penetrated my realm. It just doesn't work that way around New York City. But to these people who went to these schools, these SEC schools, it's life to them. So she's like, I really want you to come to the national championship. We're all getting together. And I'm there, and it's all these Alabama people, bunch of their significant others. And yeah, I'm cheering for her to be happy if they win the game. But Alabama would score. And the significant other, some guy who went to St. John's University, is getting up, go, Roll Tide, the Tide, doing these synchronized dances. And I'm just sitting there looking at these people. I can't fake joy for a team who I have no ties to. I'm extremely happy that she's happy. Absolutely. But don't expect me to get up and start roll the tide. I started hating those people so much that I was secretly rooting for Clemson when they were playing. But it's those kinds of things. The same type of fake handshakes I was seeing that night is what I'm seeing up in that Taylor Swift press box, and why I love that Philadelphia Eagles kid. It's a beautiful thing. It is a beautiful thing. But going back to what we're all here for, talking about some of those early seasons, it's week 8 and there are a ton of games, which means there could be, once again, a ton of rats. I warned you they were coming and they were going to be hungry. They roped in a lot of favorite bettors earlier in the season, and then when me and Dave had that graphic up last week, my God, the whole rat list came through. I have another rat list that I'm going to bring up when we bring on Eric. We're gonna check in with him, see how he's holding up, because he's got baseball coming to an end, so I'm wondering where he's going to take his talents, because I know people would love him in his baseball picks. Not sure if he picked against the Phillies, to Mike's chagrin, but we're going to bring him on and see what he's thinking, maybe help me navigate through which are good rats and which ones are not. Maybe we'll call that segment like Rat Busters or something, with a picture of John Goodman in the future. But there are no buys this week, which is very suspect. Many people, that there's a conspiracy theory going around there. And you know me, I love a good minor conspiracy theory. Not these crazy ones. I'm not coming here looking to start World War III. I like minor conspiracy theories, like the Oreo one I told you about and stuff like that. So the theory is, have you heard this, Mike? Before I even say it, we didn't talk about this, but have you heard about the conspiracy theory about why there's no buys this week?
I have not, but I am down for any and all conspiracy theories. Let's go.
That's good to know. I'll call you at 3 a.m. on Wednesdays and talk about lizard people. I think there's a whole community of people who does that kind of stuff. So the theory is that the NFL intentionally had no bye weeks because it's opening weekend in the NBA. Now, I'm not an NBA guy. I always believe that there was a fork in the road at childhood, and during the winter, you got to either go the NHL way or the NBA way. I went the NHL way. But the theory is that the NFL intentionally made sure that every market was playing this weekend to pull attention away, despite the fact that they're the heavyweight champion. They are the heavyweight champion of the ratings, and I don't even want to call the NBA the intercontinental champion. They're like the European champion. They're like the D'Lo Brown of sports in comparison to the NBA. It's like the NFL. The NFL is just miles above everyone else, but that's not enough. They want to put that foot on the throat, kind of like you saw from the Ravens last weekend. They weren't letting the Lions off the hook. They threw them an absolute beating, and the theory is that's making the rounds is that they're intentionally doing it to pull ratings from the NBA. Can you buy that? Are you buying or selling that theory?
Money talks, and I wouldn't be surprised at all if the pettiness drives their decisions. I noticed there was no NLCS game when the Eagles played Sunday night against the Dolphins, and I'm pretty sure that was not an accident either.
I put myself in the NFL's shoes. Why am I going to give another company a chance to sneak up on me? Vince McMahon, he thought no big deal. Yeah, put this Ultimate Fighter show after WWF. Okay, yeah, I'm sure the UFC is going to be the next I really got to worry about that. You give an inch, give them an opportunity. Like you throw me on a national primetime show, and all of a sudden all the other people are going to start being real worried real quickly. But if you give that opportunity to the NBA to steal some eyes, maybe, some storylines emerge and people are more fascinated now that they're stomping them down. I can totally believe that because I do similar things. I do things where I've done them. Here's how I know I've done them, because I've actually done them. But if someone else was to suggest that, some that you can go listen to my comedy podcast, I don't feel comfortable saying them here because I don't even want Mike to know that I've done them. But I will say one, you may notice if you're watching this, and you can go back to previous episodes, the Leaning Tower of Noses has gotten twice as large. And do you want to know why that is? Because last season, if you watch my videos here on the Odd Shopper channel, you know that when we were on a real hot streak in the spring for the NHL, I said, I'm going to put money back into this show. You guys, you put money into this, even though you don't, but I'm going to put money back into it because things are going well. And Mr. B says that if you put whatever. I was reinvesting in the show and I found this statue. It was only one of two on the internet. It's a 2006 vase called Perpetual Noses. I've talked about it on the show once or twice. And I haggled the lady down to give it to me for $350. The other one available online was $1,500. So it's either $1,500, she had it listed at $500, I offered $350 and said, okay, $350, as I was talking to Ben about a couple weeks back. Don't think I was getting positive EV on that bet. However, every once in a while, I sporadically check in to make sure that I wasn't duped and there wasn't some other one. Well, it was time for my monthly check-in this past week, and I noticed one was on eBay for $50, and I didn't need it. I did not need a second vase statue of noses. But do you want to know why I bought it? I bought it because I couldn't live with the fact that somebody else was going to have a deal in comparison to my $300. I bought a second vase statue of noses after we just made fun of it on this show a couple weeks back because I couldn't bear to think that somebody else was going to find it for so cheap. So if that's me, a guy who's never been arrested, went to a top 75 university, what the hell do you think real cutthroat people are going to do? There's going to be no buys week 8. And that's the way the cookie crumbles. What do you support my $50? I mean, it was a steal, Mike, and now this thing really stands out. You know, before it just looked like almost closer to the leg in A Christmas Story. Now this nose, this is a true. I mean, the noses never end here.
All I got's that Old Navy commercial. Toes to the nose, bros.
Yeah, see that? I think we lost our producer. I think it's time for you know, he wants to hear conspiracy theories until he really learns what I'm doing in the middle of the night. We're gonna bring on Eric shortly. We're gonna give a knock on his door. I always got to give him credit because he lives out there on the West Coast, and I always hated when you wake up on the West Coast. You feel like you look at your clock and oh my God, I must have missed out on everything. You think you're gonna check those waiver claims in the middle of the night. He's always 3 hours behind, so we got to make sure that he's getting his cup of coffee ready because he was out at the end. More Eric Lindquist stories where he's living in the VIP lounge with Brad Pitt. It never ends with this guy. Went to Chateau Marmont. Then he was at Soho House. Now he's going to the Laker games. This guy must be hitting some bets. So I look forward to asking him about a couple of those rats that we got going on. You know, yesterday we can go back to talking about some of the clean sweep that I did on the NFL videos. At the top of those videos, I was talking about Canada Goose jackets and another thing that annoys me. Yes, but trivial things annoy me. But I do have good news. I'm the kind of guy, if the house is burning down, literally, I'll keep a cool head and say, listen, here's what we have to do. But trivial things, I lose my mind. I go absolutely crazy. And when people purchase these Canada Goose jackets and wear them on 55-degree days, and I guess there's a certain contingent of people who don't know what they are. If you don't know what a Canada Goose jacket is, you can look them up. They're meant for like sub-zero Arctic temperatures. Think about the day after tomorrow, Dennis Quaid. That's what you're supposed to be wearing Canada Goose jackets in. And then in you know, New York, Boston, Philadelphia, it's a 61-degree day. People are wearing their Canada Goose jackets out there. Kind of makes me sick because it's completely unnecessary. But you know what? I think that's enough. That's enough of the things that absolutely disgust me. You know what I'll do, Mike? I'll ask you about your squad. We got the Philadelphia Eagles. They had that solid win on Sunday with a hint of scare. Never good to see, you know, your team blow a 14-point lead at home or whatever, 10, 14, something like that. But, you know, it is, as they say, you know, everyone deserves a good scare around Halloween. And now they come up right on our rat list. Everyone's stacking their chips on to the Eagles against the Commanders. How are you feeling going into this week? Because if I was an Eagles fan, I'm like, yeah, my guess, they're winning. They ain't covering.
I feel pretty good, actually. I think if you look at the offense, I mean, that was more the problem. The defense only let up 7 points to a team that was supposed to, drop 70 on us. 10 of those points of their 17 came from Hurts's turnover. So I feel like they played a great game. They just had to clean a couple things up. I would be highly surprised if they don't throttle Washington down in Washington. And it'll be one of my bigger bets. Not a homer bet. It'll be one of my bigger, hopefully not homer bets of the week. Yeah, I say Eagles by double digits. I'm not scared at all.
He ain't scared, ladies and gentlemen. I guess my only counter to that would be look at these last couple of games against these damn Commanders. It's just last game went to overtime. They flat out beat the Eagles when they were undefeated last year. I mean, there's some social studies division. This is going to be tough. Do you know what that's from? Do you know what that's Billy Madison. Like it's before he goes, oh man, I'm so nervous. I mean, first and second grade were easy, but social studies division is going to be tough. And then the kid just is looking at him with a gaped mouth, and he just realized it didn't work. And he just goes to the next guy. Oh man, I'm so nervous. I mean, first and second grade were easy, but social studies division is going to be tough. And then he goes, relax, dude. And then Miss Veronica Vaughn comes in. He goes, jackpot. And we got our own Veronica Vaughn coming in. We got Eric Lindquist coming to us live.
I know from experience.
We have our Venn diagram has a bunch of movies in the middle. And I feel like maybe we've seen 2 movies that only me or you have seen. Because when I saw that Nick Papagiorgio with you, the whole thumbnail for this show is based on the poker chips from the Vegas vacation. And when I saw that tweet, we got a Nick Papagiorgio, but I'm like, that looks like one of the percentages for like the Washington Commanders this week. I feel like 7% of people know what that reference is, which is why, I was losing it. And that was great to see.
It was a bonding moment. I mean, these are the things that have to happen in order. We have such a small time on this earth, my friend. And like, those are the moments where it's just like, you have this amazing situation, this amazing movie, nostalgia, everything wrapped up into one. Then you come from your side of the town and we just kind of meet in the middle. It's that sliver right there. Nobody else is going to replicate that on the Venn diagram. It's a beautiful thing.
It is absolutely beautiful. And see, I'm just talking to Eric, and now I'm getting back into California, Andy. I was talking about how I like seeing people from Philly give middle fingers, but now that's getting out of me, and I'm back into some of my, feng shui, zen. Okay, the last time we talked, I do want to let you know, I told you, yeah, I feel like this is going to be a statement effort from Dallas, and they got absolutely walloped.
Oh, and not many statements other than bad statements so far. Tony Pollard hasn't scored since week 1. That seems problematic. This Dallas team, I have no idea what to expect come Sunday, but it's just be set up for disappointment if you're a Cowboys fan. It's kind of like being a Vikings fan lately, except for maybe we turn the tide this season. We'll see.
I'm pretty good at some advice that I give for the NFL is, unlike any sport that I've ever seen in my life, hit Control Alt Delete for the previous weekend the best you can, whatever you saw. And it's why I'm a little worried. Like, Mike is about taking the Eagles this weekend, and let's take him for his word where he says it's not a homer bet. He truly thinks it's going to be a beating. But I'm like, okay, yes, everybody, it's not just you. Everybody saw the Giants destroy Hal. Everybody has seen Hal get murdered. He's about to break the sack record. Yet the last couple times these teams played, Washington is just, for whatever reason, playing their best football against the Eagles. And I'm going to do the same thing for you that I did these last couple of weeks. We got our rat graphics where I put out some of the most public favorites that are given by some of the sports books on Twitter and whatnot. Let's hope they're telling us the truth. We'll take their word for it. I got a Cali guy on. We're not liars. We're not schemers. We're not skeptical. We're going to believe what they put out there. And if any of these graphics, if we can pull these up, let's give a little Nicholson rat graphic. If any of these stand out to you, like, oh God, don't fall into that overwhelming percentages. I like to tell people the dumbest guy in your town is taking that bet that everybody else is taking. Do you really want to be lumped in amongst those people? So of these squads that you see here, are there any that stand out to you? Like, you know what? I would run away from that bet if you can keep people off something. Is there anything that stands out to you?
I mean, the bottom team, that Vikings one, what are we doing here, people? 80% of the money on Kirk Cousins and a running game of a dinged up Alexander Madison and Cam Akers, who is a cast off of which Sean McVay said, nah, gave him the nah wave. And what are we doing here? But actually, the correct answer, in my opinion, would be the 80% on the Ravens. Again, let my fandom go aside on that one. But I think the Ravens, I think just covering 8 might be a difficult one. This one feels like a slugfest. Slow it down. We just saw the electric version of Lamar Jackson, unleashed Lamar Jackson in the passing game. I think this is one where Gus Edwards and Justice Hill, they should be able to move the ball pretty easily on the ground against Arizona. Got to imagine that this is one that probably plays out a little bit uglier than anticipated.
I'm going to put an idea out there that sounds a little bit crazy, but is there a chance that after these last 2 weeks, the Denver's defense being the worst thing known to man is slightly overblown, and betting on Kansas City is not as good of an idea as other people might think it is, coming off that nice win off the Chargers, going on the road to Denver where they didn't cover last year, playing a time 2 times in 3 weeks. Any way you could talk those Kansas City bettors off of taking Kansas City?
I mean, we have to know, first of all, if the Kansas City Swifts are going to be there. We gotta figure that one out before the jump. It's an absolute disaster. And every time they show the box now, I want to cry and just remember the days where we talked about football on football programs. But, whatever. This defense for Kansas City has been playing phenomenally well as well. You talk about some of the inefficiencies for the Broncos. I think you can really overtake them with the ground game here. And working through some of these pieces for the Denver side, you're seeing a real emergence from PJ Locke here at the safety position. Been playing out of his mind the last 2 seasons. I don't know where it came from. Really struggled out of Texas in 2020, 2021, but he's been playing free safety and just kind of creating mismatches, or just taking care of mismatches. He's going to have his hands full because something tells me they're going to need a lot of him to be roaming and finding Kelsey in the middle of the field. And that has been an impossible task for every single team. Patrick Surtain, he's been playing better here in recent weeks, not at the all-pro level that we've seen recently from him, as recently as last season. I just don't. It's Patrick Mahomes. I feel like 7, it's probably a pretty efficient number here on the road, but more so, I legitimately like Arizona this week. So that Ravens one kind of still stays for me. But if you back Kansas City, I mean, it just feels like 50-50 shot. Enjoy that. But I'm not in the habit of trying to flip coins for my money.
That's probably a pretty good idea. I'm going to give you one of mine that I like, and I am able to hit Control Alt Delete. Doesn't matter if team screwed me. That's fine. Like, as bad as that San Fran loss was, I didn't mind going back to the Cowboys the following week. I have made a habit, and last week I talked to Dave about this, and he was like, I'm not so sure about that. I said, I'm taking the Steelers, who have a winning record, despite they haven't played a single good game. They haven't played a single good game. What happens if they play all right? That was part 1, but really part 2, I still look at the Rams as the team for the most part, because I know there's the offense is yes, better than expected. For the most part, like the 6-win team that people thought they were going to be. I don't overvalue. Everyone's still going off the week 1 win. Yeah, but there was that week 1 win against Seattle.
There was.
People are moving the ball on them relatively easily. Their line is crumbling, which is why they did not throw the ball. If you watch that game with Darrell Henderson and Freeman, they're giving them 30 carries because they don't trust the line to hold up. And Dallas, who had a very good win going into the bye, have an additional week to get on the right track at home. I think that's a great spot for the Cowboys because I'm very anti-Rams. I never seen a week 1 game hold up as much as that damn Seahawks game. So I was about the Pittsburgh last week, and I'm about the Cowboys this week, despite how badly they screwed me a couple weeks back.
That's fair. Again, I feel like you've kind of laid out the case for it. I know Lofty was kind of making the case for it here as well. Control-Alt-Delete. I'm absolutely stealing that and thinking about that from now on whenever I'm giving analysis on certain pieces. I mean, this is a fun slate simply because you have every single team in action over the course of this week and not a bye week. And that feels like one of the more attackable spots. What?
Did you hear about the conspiracy about why there are no buys this week?
I heard it was because the NBA started up and they want to make sure that they keep that thing rocking. They want to keep the NFL rocking over the NBA opening weekend.
Do you believe that?
Absolutely. They're not stupid.
That's how you know he wasn't born on the West Coast, ladies and gentlemen. He has a little bit of cynicism and skepticism in there as well.
I may hate myself a little bit. It's fine.
You don't hate yourself that much.
No, I don't.
Right? I don't know many people living better than you. I'll tell you that right now.
It's probably true. This guy.
Look at that. If you see a slight bag under his eye, it's not because he's tired because he went to bed late. It's because he had another one of his fabulous Ryan Gosling kind of Thursday nights. But I really do appreciate you. I appreciate you getting up and on the West Coast, man. It always feels like, I don't know how your days go, but even if you wake up at 9 a.m., you feel like you're so far behind because so much news and information has trickled in, prior to when you wake up. And I always remember feeling like I had to catch up when I lived out there. Do you feel that at all?
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, I split time between Arizona too. They never change time zones, which is kind of a wild thing too. So when you go out there, it really gets a little bit wonky, but definitely feel as though there's like time's a construct kind of a thing. It's a little bit of
True Detective-ish. Back to the West Coast.
It's a flat circle. It's a flat circle kind of a thing, and I'm just like in the middle of it somewhere. I sometimes I decide to go to bed at 2 a.m., 3 a.m. like last night, and wake up at 7 and go right to work, and other times I hit recharge and I just sleep for 16 hours because I need to make up for it at least once a month. So I don't know. Maybe I think this is just a lesson to everybody that find something that you really enjoy to do and you'll never really be tired going to work and you'll go through it. And then eventually your body will shut down and say, you know what, Eric, shut the fuck up and sleep. But until that point, it's like, I feel great. Like I'm just ready to rock.
Are you at that point now? Because you are, I love the all caps,
I really do.
I'm not saying it because you know what? These people, they deserve it. There's a lot of scumbags out there. They're praying for you to fall. Mm-hmm. So it's good to stomp them out. And they might not be looking or liking, but they're looking. They see it. And you are doing that all the time for baseball, but that's kind of coming to a close soon. Is this where you get your R&R? Are you going to do the, oh my God, why is his name?
This is an amazing
Dallas
moment.
Buyers Club.
There you go. Yeah. Matthew McConaughey.
No, co-star.
Oh, the White Man Can't Jump. Woody Harrelson.
No, American Psycho.
Where are we going? Christian Bale.
No, the long hair. My goodness. He
are literally telling you the people in the
Jared
movies.
Jared Leto.
I got it.
Sorry. The Jared Leto retreat. Are you about to
He is in every one of those movies. That's hilarious. I was just naming the star of the movies. I couldn't. Yeah. Anyway.
No, you did the right thing. I think I threw out a co-star. Anyway. And then you went Harrelson. God damn it. Anyway. Are you about to go on your Jared Leto retreat now that baseball is over? Like, or what? Where's your next? Where does your weapon focus next? Like, what's your 1B to your baseball?
NBA time. It's so NBA time. NBA is my baby. It's definitely the thing I'm the most profitable at from a DFS perspective, from a betting perspective, from a prize picks perspective, from an everything perspective. Love myself, the National Basketball Association. However, everybody loves the NFL. We have the most watched NFL show there for Live Before a Lock on the Stochastic YouTube channel, and it is fantastic stuff to be able to talk people through that process still. Then I'm a golfer. Yeah, it's a slow season for golf, but we've got a couple of tournaments to round out the season there, so I'll jump into those streets. I mean, Andy, it never stops, buddy. It never stops.
it doesn't, but I also try to tell people, hey, assholes, there's one game the other night in the NHL. Don't feel like you have to bet it. Don't feel
big advocate. Yesterday, I didn't have a lock on Lindy's Leans Likes Locks, and everybody's mad at me. And it's like, I don't know what to tell you. I'm not going to tell you to make a bad bet. I'm in the interest of like watching the graph go up. We want it to go up. And you can bet track everything. I did everything for the MLB playoffs, put it directly on X for the entire world to see, let you know exactly what I'm putting into play, exactly what you should be putting into play. And sometimes it's not what people want. They want to be able to fire a unit on this or 2 units on that, or parlay these 48 things from a game. Hey, what do you think about this card? And at the end of the day, there has to be an understanding that some people want to recreationally bet, but there are also the people like me who want to make money at this and help you make money at this and use the information and the tools together so we can just dominate the universe. And then we can all go out, to Chateau Marmont, to Soho House, and live the life that you imagined.
And it's
100%.
not called Lindy's Leans, Likes, and Lies. So if you don't have a lock, you would be lying. So that's not the name of the show.
So yeah, so I had 2 likes and Phoenix plus 6.5 covered, felt good. We also got the 16.5 team total for Tampa Bay. Those are the only 2 plays that I really liked yesterday entirely. Found a couple of things where it was like small prop plays, but like at the end of the day, you got to identify value when it shows up. And it's a lot easier to do that on a 13-game NFL slate than it is on a 2-game or a 1-game NHL slate.
Yeah, you were giving some advice to a better last night, or I'm sorry, somebody who does what we do, addressing like mean commenters and whatnot.
Yep.
And she was supposed to come on the show today. It was supposed to be her and you. But I got just like if you ever got on those dating apps these days, any sort of scheduled thing I give advice to people who are on dating, and this has nothing to do with that. It's just a great example. Even best friends, I'm convinced that 100% of things these days are canceled. Nobody actually shows up. Everyone, they say, oh, I'm going to do that thing. No one actually shows up. So I encourage people, if they ever get like a date or something like that, you have to celebrate the yes. The yes is the new date, because you're never actually going on a date. What are you, nuts? Nobody's actually showing up. Mm-hmm. The yes is the new enjoying a date, because it's never going to happen. Yeah, we got the
I love that.
We got the last second inconvenient, no response.
It's okay. Here's the thing. You never know. You never know what somebody else is going through. You don't understand the situation. It sucks, and it feels like denial, or it might feel a little bit like disappointment for a little bit. But at the end of the day, control your box. Like that's what I tell people. So I played Division I golf at Iowa State, not successfully well because I ended up hurting myself and then just ended up playing terrible golf the rest of my college career, but came out to California and had a golf instructor that, I was helping out give these lessons to. And all we did was talk about controlling your box. Everything else, whether it's the wind, whether it's the bounce, whether it's the somebody honking a horn in your backswing, these are not things that are controllable. But what is controllable is what you do in your box, what you do with your hands, what you do with your movement, what you do with your preparation. And that is all in one box. And if more people could just do that in their lives and control that and not have like the other people's emotions affect them. I lived my life like that, I think, for probably 33, 34 years. And somewhere around 35, I said, you know what? I'm not going to give power to people who don't deserve it. And so, hey, they're going through something. I'm understanding of it to a certain extent, but control your box, live a better life.
A couple things. Number one, you may need to refine that saying if you're giving it to women. It may need to be worded slightly differently. Number two,
good point.
Couldn't agree with you anymore. That is what he just stated is the number one way to do whatever it is you're doing. I have a slightly different approach, just simply the way I grew up. Like my friends, they are cutthroat. So it was just so if somebody addresses me, I go right back at them harder. I'm not saying that's the best way. That's my way to deal with it. But Eric's way is it does nothing. If you address every single skeptic or whatever the hell, no matter what you're doing, think about how many minutes you've pulled away from, like, for example, like if I'm writing one of these comedy parody things that I do, Which one's going to be better? The one that I spend 4 hours on, or the one that I spend an hour and a half and then the rest of the thing worrying about all the criticisms, this, that, and the other? So he's 1,000% right. And I
this
never
book
care
will
about
change
it.
your life too.
Uh-oh.
This is the book that everybody needs to own and have next to you every single day. The Daily Stoic. Basically, let's take a little journey back to Rome, where there was an emperor named Marcus Aurelius who walked around conquering the earth, talking about his feelings in a journal. And it's one of those incredible things where you have him, Seneca, a lot of these old school philosophers. The whole idea of Stoicism is like, I don't have to have an opinion about this. And that is a wild way to think about life. And again, I've been like feeling really, really deep the last couple days. I don't know why. I don't know how. It's not anything that's happened in my life here in at least this week that's affecting me to some extent. But I can't tell you how many times I've been going back to this book, and just, it's a 1-page devotional kind of a thing. It's not like, you know, a church devotional type of a deal, but it's basically just a paragraph or two about how to better handle the outside world, how to allow your brain freedom from some of the constructs that other people try to enforce on you. And I think the best way to say it to people is just flat out, you don't have to have an opinion about this. That is the best thing that I have learned from this book. And it is something that is reinforced, and I need to reinforce daily. I think if everybody had the Daily Stoic, Ryan Holiday, this dude is awesome. Go follow him on Instagram.
I didn't even know that Eric was a Ryan Holiday guy. Like, you can get an email from him on the Daily Stoic and just gives you a bit every day. He's got amazing YouTube videos, and that is a gem of useful information that Lindquist just dropped on everybody.
Okay, so this is not like Joel Osteen's and asked me for $49.95 at the end of it.
No, it's
Here's
actually
what God
it's life
asked
changing.
you to do today. He
Bill
told
Burr
you.
said one of the funniest things, and just he said it in passing. He goes, "You ever wonder why that guy doesn't open his eyes when he says a lot?" He goes, "Because he can't bear to deal how much he's lying. Like, you gotta send $49.95."
Oh man! Now this Righteous Gemstones is awesome. This season was it, but like overall, that show is just out of control good. Out of control good.
I want to thank you so much for coming on. I mean, this thing,
Thanks, my guy.
guys, if you ever wonder, if you're one of these people from the Midwest, you're from the East Coast, you go out there, you see, like, I don't know what came over me. Those thoughts get massaged out there because you walk out your door, there's another person in shape feeling the same thing. I know there's a couple of you out there who are thinking, well, this guy's a nut. I'm not reading a goddamn thing. He's not a nut. You should probably give it a try. Maybe I'll even do it. Okay. I haven't read a book in a couple of years. For every word I don't read, I write.
It's like
okay,
a paragraph a day. You can do that. You can do it. You got it.
I can get through that.
All right.
I can get.
Well, thank you so much, Andy. Have a good one.
Yo,
thanks,
thank you so much for coming on. I appreciate it as always.
Thanks, Lynn.
Okay, everybody. If I've said anything over the course of this episode that has offended you in any way, shape, or form, I must say I am truly sorry. I can feel that book entering me as we speak. You know, it's having kind of the effect on me that Tony Robbins had on Shallow Hal. I could finally see clearly. All the other things aren't important. Here's the beautiful thing about life, ladies and gentlemen. It takes the full circle to make the world go round. For everyone out there like that, there are other people out there who think that the single stuffed Oreos have the same amount of cream as the double stuffed Oreos. And that's what makes the world a great place, is you get all ends of the spectrum around here, and it always comes full 360 like these rotating noses that I didn't replace the batteries on, which is why they're not rotating this week. But I do want to thank you guys for coming back once again. Hope you had a couple laughs. Hope you enjoyed a couple sniffs. Hope you stayed away from a couple rats and everything in between. I do want to let you know if there's any of those bets that you like and you want to make, and you haven't read, you've been a looker, not a liker, not a watcher, not a subscriber. We got that Bet365 promotion for you still. If you've been waiting on the sidelines saying, nah, I'm waiting for the right time, Super Bowl time, Ace Ventura, you bet $5 and they're going to give you $150 in free bonus bets. As long as your first deposit's $10, you make a $5 bet, you'll get 150 in free bonus bets, as I have to look at that ludicrous picture of me that I might manually remove next week. But it is a great deal. You just got to be a new user over there, over 21, except in Kentucky, which is a fantastic rule. There are a couple separate links that you'll see in the description of the video down below. The international link for all you people in Iceland, a Canadian link, and the US link. So you click those and it will take you there. But just make sure if you have a gambling problem or anyone you know has a gambling problem, you heard about that guy, give him a text, ask him what's going on, see what he likes for the night. If he texts you a whole laundry list of things, say, hey, man, I think you should probably call 1-800-GAMBLER. Help out a friend. A friend in need is a friend indeed. We'll be back with you next week to talk about Week 9. We'll see how the Rats went this week. But usually when Rats come to town and they've had a couple cheese, they're looking for more. So try to steer clear of those mega favorites. I always like to go down to, okay, what are the Dallas, I looked 58%. I love it. If I see 50% on each side, I like to know Vegas isn't going to get hooked either way. You know, they're not going to lose a ton of money if one side wins, or not going to lose a ton of money if the other side wins. Those are the games that I like being on if I'm going to take a team by the spread. That's my last little bit of advice for you. So if you want to enjoy more of my stuff, obviously I did an NHL video today. I got a show that I do called Pickin' Corners on my YouTube channel tonight, so come over to my YouTube. Then we'll have my NFL Week 8 picks tomorrow, and something tells me there's going to be a lot of people. You know how it works? When you have a great day, it's like people who, they heard about this great movie and then there's a sequel. They didn't watch the original movie, but they'll go see Scream 2 before they saw Scream 1. Enjoy Halloween if I don't see you before then. Are you going to be that guy who wears a costume on Thursday and Friday and no one has costumes, but they have it on Saturday? I don't know. A lot of Halloween questions to go around. I'll be watching the Halloween marathon on AMC. Make sure you're not that guy who gives kids candy corn or nickels or something like that. Yeah, nickels, not pennies. Give them the good stuff. Give them the Snickers. Give them the Nutrageous. Give them the Hershey's with almonds. Don't cheap out for the kids. They're kids after all. All right? I'll be back with you guys next week. Enjoy your weekend. I will talk to you then.